You have to be mean if you're pretty. Is that true? All right, let's dive into this topic. Hi, Bella Beauties. Welcome back to my channel. I hope that title caught your attention today because we're diving into how to stop people pleasing and set healthy boundaries today. If you're a woman with pretty privilege and you're tired of always putting others first and want to reclaim your power, this video is for you. Let's dive right in. Now, if you haven't watched the first part of this video, please go ahead and watch it. This video, the video is called "A Pretty People Pleaser Loses Her Privilege." (Parentheses Be Mean). That video actually goes more into depth about why you might be a people pleaser and how to identify that you're a people pleaser. This video will focus more on how to stop people pleasing, prioritize your self care, and set boundaries. So, if you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch it. Um, when you're a people pleaser, you have these conditional beliefs about how humans or people should behave, what people should always and never do. These three words will always lead you to disappointment and resentment if you really believe this about other people. Because when you put this high expectations of morality on other people, you also put it on yourself. And you will usually find yourself saying things like, always do what others want, expect or need, take care of everyone around, whether they ask or not. People should appreciate me and love me for what I do. People should always like me because I work hard to please them. Things like that. Like, people should never reject or criticize me. People should always be kind and caring in return. People do not owe you anything, unfortunately. And the good thing about that is that you don't owe anybody anything either. So these shoulds. So I got these 7 deadly shoulds from the book, The Disease to Please. If you haven't read it, please go ahead and read it. Read it. It's really good. Um, and also the 10 commandments of people pleasing. So that's what, like, the never and always a thing where, like, you always expect people to do things that you would do for them, so you expect it back. Always be nice, never hurt anyone's feelings, put others first before oneself, never say no to anyone, never disappoint or let others down. Those are really, really toxic beliefs that you put on other people or that you put on yourself because you expect yourself from other people. Just because you are nice and kind to somebody does not mean they are going to be nice and kind to you. And just because you think you should do something does not mean that other people think they should do something either. So I hope you guys can read these and counteract them. People shouldn't do this. People shouldn't do that. So in turn, you always should also feel the same way. I shouldn't do this. I'm not obligated to do this. I don't have to do this if I don't want to. Okay? All right. So conditional thinking like this leads to blaming yourself and being disappointed when people do not return the same kindness and helpfulness that you provide to them. Uh, Let me tell you guys right now, humans are selfish naturally in nature, and selfish does not always have to have a negative connotation behind it. It simply means I will make sure I'm good before I help anyone else. I'll make sure I want to do something before I agreeing to do something for somebody else. That's self-care, and it's selfish, but it's a positive selfish. It's not a negative selfish. This means 9 times out of 10, most people will look out for themselves first before they look out for you, and you should do the same. And that's exactly how you should be. This is cliche, but it's true. You can't pour from an empty cup. So imposing your shoulds on other people is actually very coercive and kind of controlling if you think about it. Instead of using phrases like, instead of using those phrases, you should use phrases like, I would prefer if so and so did such and such. It might be better if you do such and such. I would like it if you do such and such. But they shouldn't do anything. They're not obligated to do anything. And in turn, you're not obligated to do anything either. Okay? Unless you want to. Instead of the manipulative and coercive you shouldn't statements, um, you'll be far better off with more like attainable, realistic guidelines and principles about how you will like to treat others and how you will prefer others to treat you. And remember, you don't have to do anything perfectly, including pleasing other people. or have perfect positive emotions. Nobody's perfect. If you don't feel like being smiley, nicey, and agreeable, don't be just to suit other people. Most of the time, when you are put in on this front, people actually think there's something wrong with you. So feel your feelings. If you're not in the mood, don't be in the mood. If others are uncomfortable about that, that's okay. You don't have to manage other people's feelings. That's not your job. When you detach and remove these high moral expectations from other people, you will feel less guilty about setting your own boundaries. Okay. People shouldn't do anything. You shouldn't do anything. If you want to, you do it. If you don't want to, don't do it. Okay. So now I want to talk about the consequences of people pleasing. So how can it actually affect you? So after putting your needs aside for others and not setting boundaries, how is that actually going to affect you? This part is important, guys. I want you guys to really pay attention to this. So here are some key consequences. So the first one I have is emotional exhaustion. So if you're always trying to meet others' expectations, you can end up feeling burnt out and stressed because being super agreeable and accommodating can really drain your energy. I know for me, every time I made a commitment to somebody that I really didn't want to do or didn't have the time or space to do it, I will always feel super exhausted, both physically and mentally afterwards. And will be really resentful of the person because I felt like I was used. Always putting others first can lead to resentment because if your efforts aren't appreciated or reciprocated, this can leave you feeling frustrated and bitter towards those you're trying to please. And I do not want you guys to turn into bitter women. That is not cute. Okay. That is not cute. Like sometimes you might need to isolate yourself after helping somebody because you feel so drained, because deep down you know you didn't want to do it. Um, then you're going to start blaming yourself for not stating your needs and then villainizing the person you help because you feel like they don't anticipate your needs or they don't appreciate your needs like you appreciate them appreciate and anticipate their needs. Remember the shoulds that we just talked about. People should see that you don't or can't do that. That's terrible thinking. No, they shouldn't, and no, they can't. People are not mind readers. You have to state your needs and set your boundaries. Okay. The second thing I have here is your loss of identity. When you suppress your own desires, needs, and values just to fit in or avoid conflict with other people, you can actually start to lose touch with who you really are. Conflict is not always a bad thing, guys. Conflict can actually lead to resolution most of the time. Over time, this can make you feel confused about your true identity and what you actually want in life. So you might make decisions based on what others want instead of what's best for you. This can result in choices that don't align with your true interests or values, and this can lead to dissatisfaction about your life. And you are going to regret a lot of things that you agreed to when you didn't want to. By focusing so much on others' needs instead of your own, you neglect your own opportunities for personal and professional growth. This could mean passing up opportunities for advancement or creativity or new experiences that could actually enhance your life just because you don't want to offend people or make them feel bad about themselves. Who cares? In 2024, we are prioritizing ourselves and what we want. We don't care what others want. We care what we want. Okay? We care what we want. I want you guys to get into finding out who you truly are by writing it down. So make a list of things you want to do. So your goals, the goals you want to achieve, or hobbies that you wish to try. And in 2024, prioritize those. So when you know, people ask you to do things for them that conflicts with these things, you need to be able to say no because you have your own things to do. People may be disappointed at first, but eventually they will put you back on that pedestal, that power ladder, and respect you more because you got things to do. You're busy. You're busy, improving your own life. Okay, you're not just there to help them. So when you finally have the time and want to help them, with your needs, they'll be more appreciative of it because they know you don't have the time and always the energy to help them. You got your own things going on. So the fact that you can take the time out of your day to help them, they will be more appreciative of that. Okay. That way you're able to find and build your identity while also maintaining healthy relationships in your life. And you do not dare abandon your goals and hobbies to help the next person just because you think it keeps you in this nice girl identity. You will regret it. 2024, I want you guys to get rid of the nice girl image. It's not a real thing. It's not a good thing. People have different emotions. You can't be nice all the time. Okay? That's not a good thing. All right, so the next thing I have here is decrease self-esteem from people pleasing. Ladies, when your self-worth is tied to getting validation from other people, you might struggle with low self-esteem because your confidence depends on others' approval. And this makes you more vulnerable to criticism and rejection. That's why when you go above and beyond for people and they still end up disrespecting you, you feel it so deeply because you gave your all in order to have them see you in this nice girl identity, and yet they still don't value you. You will start to feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You're just a people pleaser who gets their confidence from people praising them for being nice. Like I said in my last video, humans do not respect or value people pleasers, guys. As soon as they see you as a nice person, they automatically think of how they can use you. Pause, because I want you guys to have that phrase in your mind. As soon as they see you as a nice person, they automatically think of how they can use you to make their lives easier, better. Like the nice things you can do for them, how you can help them, how you will let them disrespect you, for them to get an ego boost because you are not going to defend yourself. You're too nice for that. You wouldn't want to hurt their feelings or be seen as not so nice. So you actually become a target and people will play in your face all day, all the time. Eventually, people disrespecting you and devaluing you will lead to depression, anxiety, and low self esteem and feeling like you're not good enough. It can get dark, guys. I've been there and it's not fun. So please stop caring about how others perceive you and praise you. When you need to assert your boundaries, do it. Your mental health will thank you for it. Okay. Um, all right, the next thing I have here is feeling neglected because of ineffective communication. So that's another consequence of people pleasing. So to avoid conflict, you probably hold back your true thoughts and feelings. And like I said before, guys, conflict is not always a bad thing. Conflict can actually, most of the time, leads to resolution, even if it's not in the moment. After you have a conflict with somebody, later, maybe days later, weeks later, months later, you can come back and have a conversation and you can actually have a better relationship with that person you had a conflict with. So conflict is not always a bad thing. So stop being scared of it. So when you avoid conflict and you hold back your true thoughts and feelings, this can lead to misunderstanding and a lack of genuine communication in your relationships. Your relationship can become one-sided where you are always giving and the other person is always taking and not reciprocating. If you pretend you have no needs or you don't require respect and reciprocity from the people in your life, the imbalance of that relationship can prevent healthy and reciprocal relationships from forming and make you feel neglected and undervalued. If you go above and beyond for people and communicate that you want the same thing in return, if they don't give it to you, move on to people who will reciprocate. The key word in this video is reciprocity. Okay? If you go above and beyond for people, you need to communicate to other people that you also expect that from them. If they don't give it to you, move on to the next person. Or you can pull back and not be as giving, okay? And set those boundaries. All right, and the last thing I have here under consequences is health issues. So if you're a former people pleaser or if you're a current people pleaser, the chronic stress and anxiety from people pleasing can lead to physical health problems like headaches, migraines, digestive issues, trouble sleeping. The constant pressure to satisfy others can also weaken your immune system over time. And I've had all the above, except that maybe the immune system over time. But um, I've had most of the ones above. At the time, and I didn't realize at the time that that's what's happening. What that was the cause of, all of these things, all the stress and anxiety and stuff like that. I didn't realize it. But if you're a people pleaser, let me know if this happens to you too. This can actually affect you physically. So that's why people pleasing is so detrimental to your health, guys. It just is detrimental to your life, to your mental health, your social dynamics, to your physical health. So stop. Okay. Uh, so now you're probably wondering, okay, Bella, I get it. I'm a people pleaser and it's hurting me. How can I actually stop people pleasing and set boundaries? No worries, guys. I got you. So first, to stop people pleasing, you need to find your identity. So, who are you? What do you like to do? What do you not like to do? What are your hobbies? What are your goals? What are your triggers? What are the standards for the people you allow in your life, or vice versa? How do you feel why do you feel the need to be perceived as nice all the time? I want you guys to make a list for each question, and after making that list, I need you to start reflecting on it. Okay. So let's go and get into how to set boundaries now. So the first one is self reflection, what I just talked about. So admit that you're a people pleaser. Take time to understand why you engage in people pleasing behaviors, like what I just talked about. Reflect on your past experiences, such as childhood dynamics or social pressures that may have contributed to this pattern. And yeah, reflect on it. Admit that you're a people pleaser. So now that you admit, now let's move on to the next stage, which is prioritizing your needs and self care. So you can do that by making a list of what's important to you and ensuring that you allocate time for activities that bring you joy. So neglecting self care can lead to burnout and decreased well being. So it's important to incorporate relaxation and enjoyable activities into your routine. Um, but you guys, if you delay self care until like tasks are completed, it creates like this cycle of stress and even uh, schedule like when you schedule leisure activities, it can feel like a chore because you feel like you have other things to do, other obligations from other people to complete. Saying no is about protecting your well being, is not about being selfish. It's okay to prioritize your own needs and happiness. And doing so is going to help you better care for those who actually matter most in your life. You can care for others while also taking care of yourself. So prioritize your needs first before others. Okay. All right. The next thing we're going to do to be able to stop people pleasing and set boundaries is set high standards for the people that you allow in your life. Okay. I need you guys to recognize situations or people that trigger you and your people pleasing tendencies. So, understanding your triggers can help you anticipate and manage these situations more effectively when they happen. And a good way to gauge your triggers is to identify people that trigger you. So it's important in your self care journey to not surround yourself with people who are disrespectful, controlling, manipulative, exploitative. Because you have choices. You don't have to be around anybody who's toxic to your health, to your mental health, and just to your life in general. Healthy relationships involve a balance of giving and receiving. And if you're just the one always giving and you never receive from the other person, that's a toxic relationship. You need to communicate your needs, and if they decide to not give you that, then you walk away. Okay. Your needs and desires are just as important as anyone else's, and it's essential to communicate this with the people in your life to avoid resentment and disappointment from them. Okay, so I need you to refer to the list about the standards of the people you will and will not allow in your life and enforce those standards. For example, for me, I will not allow people in my life that humiliate me, especially in front of other people. Those friends that like they behave well when you're alone together with them, but gets in front of other people and try to demean and embarrass you. Yeah, I will not allow those people in my life, and I stick to that standard by basically I communicate my needs, tell them, hey, I don't like that. I'll set that boundary. I don't like you doing things like that. It doesn't feel good to me, and I do not respect that. And if they choose to not respect my boundary and still keep doing that, what am I going to do? I'm going to walk away from that relationship because you're not about to keep disrespecting me. That is how you enforce your standards and boundaries. Okay, so set high standards for yourself and the people that you let in your life. Um, this can actually protect you from a lot of predators, a lot of narcissists, a lot of, just sociopaths and people who are just out to use and abuse people. So your high standards can actually save you. All right, now let's actually move into how do you actually say no? How do you actually set that boundary? So when somebody requests help or something from you that you don't want to do or give, if you're a people pleaser, you probably automatically say yes. Like it's like an embedded button in our body. Like if you're one of those people, here's how you can stop the automation. So first, I want you to delay your response and buy time. So if you're one of those people who automatically say yes to everything without even thinking about it, I need you to buy yourself some time to think about it. Okay. So first thing you're gonna do um, is say something like, let's say if it's a telephone request, let's say you're on a phone call with somebody and they ask you for a favor. What you want to do is say something like, "Hey, can I put you on hold for a second? Or I need to put the phone down for a minute or so." You're buying yourself time to think about it. Okay. Or if it's a face-to-face request, you want to say something like, "Hey, I'm not sure if I can. I will think about it and get back to you." Okay. And then excuse yourself so you can be alone to think about the request. Okay. You don't have to answer anything right away. Buy yourself some time. If you know you're a people pleaser, this is so important. Buy yourself some time. Now, when you have some time to think about the request and your response, you need to think about if you even want to do the request. If you don't want to, then the answer should always be no. Okay. Now, let's say this is a good friend of yours. You need to think about your goals and the things you're working towards, or your hobbies or self care activities that you have around the same time this person is requesting the help. If you have conflicting schedules, then you have to prioritize your goals and hobbies and say no to that request. Like I said, do not abandon your goals and hobbies to help somebody achieve theirs. You come first. Okay. So if you don't have the time to do it, you don't have the time. You have to say no. So now when it comes to saying no, you have to be firm but pleasant. Okay. You don't have to be an a-hole to get your point across. Okay. So unless the person, is basically being an a-hole to you, they didn't receive your no well and tried disrespecting you, then you have every right to be a mean girl about your no. Okay, you mad? You mad? You mad, doggy? No, I said no. Okay, we can go there for if you want to. Um, be direct about your needs and limits. For instance, say something like, "Hey, I can't take on this project right now," or "I need some time for myself this weekend, so I can't." But remember, no is a complete sentence. If you don't want to say anything else but no, you can just say no. You don't have to debate. Your decision is not up for discussion. You don't have to go on a whole tangent explaining why you can't do it. Your no is not up for discussion. And please do not apologize. Do not apologize for your decision. Do not say sorry or "I apologize" for anything like that. What are you sorry for? Prioritizing yourself? Is that what you're sorry for? Do not say sorry. Do not apologize. Um, be firm, but pleasant. Okay. You don't have to be an a-hole unless they go there. Okay. Now, speaking of apologizing, the next point I have on how to actually say no is learn to accept discomfort and overcome your guilt. So I need you guys to recognize that saying no or setting boundaries might initially feel uncomfortable. Like you feel guilty. Like feeling guilty for saying no is common among people pleasers. So that's probably why you end up apologizing for your decision or taking back your no and going ahead with the request after declining it. You guys, this guilt stems from your misplaced sense of responsibility for others' happiness. You are not responsible for managing other people's feelings. Okay. Setting boundaries is not about being mean. You're not a mean girl for setting boundaries. It's about self respect and protecting your mental health. Saying no when necessary is an act of self care. So if you feel guilty about setting a boundary, that's okay. I need you to sit in that feeling of guilt. Okay. Feel it out. Keep practicing setting boundaries, and eventually you will stop feeling guilty when you set a boundary. So practice makes perfect. You're not a bad person for making the decisions that's best for your life. Okay. All right. The I said ting. The third thing I have about how to say no is dealing with pushback and pressure to comply. Everybody is not going to accept your no well. Okay. Some people are very narcissistic and selfish, and they want to be able to use you as they want to. So they will push back. They will keep asking over and over, or try to make you feel guilty, try to guilt trip you into complying with their requests. So it's normal to face resistance when you start setting boundaries. So people might test your limits or they will give you the silent treatment. But I want you to stay firm in your decision and remember that your well being is your top priority. Over time, other people will learn to respect your boundaries if you consistently enforce them. If the person tries to pressure you into changing your mind, sorry guys, remember to acknowledge their feelings, show that you understand their disappointment or concern, but you're not apologizing. Okay. Say, hey, I understand how you feel. I know. And then repeat your no statement again, but I can't do it. And then three, I want you to stay unbothered. Keep your tone calm and respectful, even if they become upset or frustrated. So be unbothered. Like you're not, even if you're feeling guilty, do not look like it. Okay. State it. State that, hey, I understand how you feel. I really understand, but I can't do it with a straight face. Be firm. You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to debate anything, debate your no. No is a complete sentence. Okay. And then if they keep doing this, they keep pushing back, they keep pressuring you, I need you to physically walk away from these people. Or if it's a phone call, I need you to hang up. Or if it's a text message, I need you to stop texting back. Okay. Sometimes some people are just like that, and there's nothing you can do to, you know, to basically soothe your ego. So walk away if it's a face-to-face request, or hang up if it's a phone request, or stop texting back if it's a text request. We're not going to be guilt tripped or bullied into complying into anything in 2024. Okay. All right. And the last thing I have for how to say no, or how to set boundaries, is there has to be a consequence for somebody violating your boundaries. Okay. If someone violates your boundary, you have to follow through with consequences. So this might mean what I just said: stepping away from the situation that makes you uncomfortable, aka walking away or hanging up. And you can do this by practicing assertiveness. To be able to defend yourself, I need you guys to do the following. Do not fawn when somebody disrespects you. So fight, flight, freeze, and fawn are all human responses to a threat or a perceived threat. When somebody disrespects you or insults you, do not try to soothe their emotions or try to get them to see you as non-threatening, or try to prove to them that you're really a kind person. um, that's people pleasing, aka fawning. You are rewarding their bad behavior with your positive traits. So this teaches people to treat you terribly because there will be no terrible consequence for their actions. If you're a sensitive person and people's like irate behavior puts you in the freeze zone where you stay silent because you're feeling hurt or because you don't know what to say, that's perfectly normal. When you freeze in the moment, you can get out of the freeze mode by using one hand to squeeze your fingers from the other hand. So, like, you can take your right hand and squeeze your left hand really, really hard. Squeezing your hand will bring you back to the present moment. Okay, so you can be able to defend yourself. So the next consequence is to fight to defend yourself. So this doesn't, you know, usually mean physical fighting, because unless somebody actually wants to physically fight you, because we are way too pretty to fight, girl. Like you're not gonna mess up my face just because your face is not as nice, okay? And especially if you have things to lose, like if you build stuff for yourself throughout your life, you can't be out there physically fighting people. I don't have the time to go to jail. um But you can fight with your words. If somebody's being nasty and disrespectful towards you, you have every right to give that same energy back, baby. Okay, stop caring how you be perceived in the moment and defend yourself. When you fail to defend yourself, other people will take notes that you're a weakling and you will become the target, and people will try to bully you. So always be willing to defend yourself, okay? Even if you think you didn't defend yourself well enough, like at least you did something. What you don't want to do is do nothing, because that tells people you're okay with people treating you like that. So there has to be a consequence for people violating your boundaries, right? Even if it's something small as like yelling at them or, something like that. That's still a consequence. There has to be some type of consequence for somebody violating you. Okay. All right. And lastly, I didn't want to add this, but I didn't want the video to be too long. But basically, I want to talk about boundaries at work. So in like the corporate world, or just a job in general, people will try to take advantage of you. So they'll try to get you to do their work for them, or try to do more work for less pay and things like that. I want you guys to learn to delegate and set boundaries in the workplace. So you don't have to take on everything just to prove to your manager or to your colleagues or whoever that you're competent. Um, what you do need to do is learn how to delegate. So you can take on this task. Hey, so and so, can you also take on this task? Since, I'm also working on this. When you take on everything, you become like you're perceived more as controlling and like as a micromanager who is not confident in their work. Okay. So I need you guys to understand that just because you work hard and it's good are good at your job and willing to take on more for less, does not mean that you're irreplaceable. Everybody at the workplace is replaceable, including the CEO. Okay. So just because you work harder does not mean they're going to appreciate you more. Actually, the more harder you work, the more you're going to be rewarded with more work, instead of more pay most of the time. So I want you guys to set boundaries at work too and learn to delegate, and have a good work life balance. Okay. All right, so now I hope you guys really enjoyed this video and you learned something from it. So my advice, when somebody calls you a bitch, say thank you, because the bitch loves herself enough to not seek anyone's approval. She has high standards for the people she invites into her life and sets and enforces her boundaries, okay? So that's a good thing. I'm not mean for setting boundaries, but if you want to call me mean, that's great. Thank you. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for all the love and support in this channel. If you did like this video, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel and share if you care. Thank you for watching and have a good day, glow getters. I will see you in the next video. Bye.